All right, we're live. We're back. What's up, party people? My name is Sunny Ray. This is the Sunny Ray Show. I believe this will be my third interview today. I've got a gentleman who I had scheduled on here, I guess, a week ago or so, but didn't quite work out. We're reconnecting. Quite excited. His name is Leo. He's the founder and CEO of Strong Tower Partners. He spent the better part of 2 decades doing one thing at the highest level, finding essentially the right humans for the hardest seats. That thesis is now a company through his AI venture. The working name is Connected. Leo is building Kai, an always-on conscious concierge. Kai, excuse me, that connects to your wearables, reads your biometrics in real time, and guides you back to the highest version of yourself before you even ask. Oh my goodness. That sounds like my favorite topic. Leo, what's up, buddy?
Hey, good day. Happy Friday. Sunny Ray. I mean, what an amazing name, Sunny Ray. I mean, you're definitely made for this. But I'm doing amazing. Thank you. It's an honor to be with you here today.
Awesome. Yeah, Leo, I don't know. You and I always have a little bit of challenge with the audio. Today it's a little bit better, but well, yeah, we'll see how it goes. So Leo, why don't you tell me about
How,
uh ooh, I can hear my
how about
echo.
now? How about now? Is this okay?
Hello, testing, Earth to Leo.
Yep.
We can
Yep.
try it. We can try it. I can hear you better. I can also hear myself. So maybe if you can mute it when I'm asking questions or I don't know.
Okay.
What was I gonna say? So I guess tell me about I want to ask you about strong tower partners, but also conscious concierge, because I know that's what you're really passionate about. But kick us off and tell us about maybe both.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a search guy, grew up in the search world, executive search, professional search, started with a firm that I think a lot of folks know, Deloitte, did, lots and lots of recruiting at Deloitte, hundreds of people into a top tier firm, top tier client, well, I would say talent, pedigrees out the wazoo, Harvard, Columbia, Yale, you name it, all the top schools, really bright people. I remember recruiting for this one department that had, I'm not kidding here, Sonny, every single person in that department, 50 plus people, were either valedictorian or salutatorian, the whole department. They were amazing. And so I was used to recruiting top talent, and then I went on to the number one search firm on the planet that does what I do, and I'm competing against them. Won't give their name, but they're a brand name that everyone knows in the executive search. And now I started Strong Tower really in the most difficult time ever for most people, COVID. And people were asking me, hey, how's it going? I was like, man, I don't know. I'm just making it up as I go. Now they ask me the same question, and I still say, you know what? I'm having a blast, and I'm still making it up as I go. But I love what I do. I love people. I love connecting people. And so that's, what we do in a nutshell at Strong Tower. And I have recruiters that do what I do as well. We find great talent to fill, great seats, a 6-figure seat, 7-figure seat, 8-figure seats. And usually some of the folks that we've placed, that I've placed, have been people that control the economy, globally, that make a big impact for banks, for big companies. So I've had the honor and pleasure of meeting a lot of very high level people that, some people only read about. And I've actually met with them, developed relationships with them. And now, for 6 years now, going on my 6th year now, I manage my own firm. I have the privilege and honor of doing that. And if that wasn't enough, I'm also an executive in a startup technology company that we're waiting for 140 million, believe it or not. It's called LeasePal. It's going to be certainly disrupting the market. Our investors that are raising that money for us call us a unicorn. And then about 30 weeks ago, if that wasn't enough, I had this concept, this idea of Connected, KENEKTED.ai. You can see us now. It doesn't give you tons of information, but gives you a nutshell of what we are. Connected is an ecosystem, a platform, will be an app that people can pray and meditate, right? Infusing music and frequency, which is everything. Frequency is in everything. It's silent. We hear it in the airwaves, whether we know it or not. We hear it in all media, music, television, news, you name it. And most of the frequency out there is frequency that doesn't elevate you. It actually deflates you. And our frequency and the music added to prayer and meditation will be basically frequency and music that serves you, that elevates you. As you enter the ecosystem, as you enter the sacred space of connected, you are greeted by our AI conscious concierge, whose name is Kai, Kai. And Kai, we believe, will be the next Siri, the next Alexa. But instead of the AI that's out there today, AI that doesn't really serve you, it profits from you, our AI, our Kai, our conscious concierge will serve you and elevate you and only profit you. We will never profit from you with the analytics that we'll gather. My brothers, as my attorneys, go like, oh my God, this is an amazing idea. And what you're doing, the data is going to be worth billions. And I said, well, the data is not going to be sold, brother. We will never sell anyone's data to profit from you. All the data will remain sacred. It will remain, certainly sovereign to the user and to the user only. And the whole gist of connected and Kai is to have you can imagine have a concierge that's always with you, connected to you by any wearables you wear. Maybe you have a smartwatch or an Aura ring, something that reads your biometrics, and it start like this: Sonny, today's Friday. Usually you're pretty good. What's going on, right? The AI will speak to you. You'll kind of talk to the AI. And then if you're a religious person, then it'll bring you back prayers and getting you refocused. If you're into meditation, it'll ask you to do some breath work, to take a deep breath, ground yourself, and then give you affirmations. Remember, Sonny, you are amazing. Remember, Sonny, you are enough. Remember, Sonny, you make a difference. I am a creator. And those types of things, and to some people that may seem kind of just words, but it's not, it's everything. It's the way that I've been able to connect with the highest level version of self at all times. Prior really to starting my own firm, 6 years ago, I meditated maybe once or twice, maybe a year. During COVID, when I started my company, I was meditating 5 times a day at minimum, right? And there wasn't long meditations. So, and then people I know are asking right now, there's a lot of meditation apps and prayer apps out there. That's true. We're the first to market with the concept of curating something that's right for you. There's a lot of written content out there, and they'll say something like, Sonny, here's content for you to listen to this for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, maybe an hour. And maybe it's prayer, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's a story. But, for a lot of people that doesn't work. How about if you take the curated content that's out there, right? And then AI will then custom make, curate something that's right for you. Like, take for instance, I listen to Dr. Joe Dispenza out of many other people. And I'll say, you know what? I don't want to listen to Dr. Joe's 40 or 50-minute message a day. Give me a 3-minute highlight and a 1-minute meditation. And then Kai will come back and give me that, right? Again, if I'm interested in listening to other people, and/or we'll have a creator studio for people to create their own stuff. I'll create my own stuff because there's nothing more powerful, Sonny, than your own voice, especially when you're in the world of meditation, manifestation, and gratitude, affirmation. There's nothing better than Kai, your conscious concierge, having your voice, right? And by the way, Kai will have anyone's voice. Where we think that this will really be super helpful for those that have lost someone. Maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a dad, or a mother, or a grandmother, or a grandfather, and you have their voice recorded. Well, then Kai will become impersonating. Well, have their voice, right? That will be your conscious concierge on a daily basis. Make it really personal, very sacred, right? But the whole idea of connected is to be like, let's say, a Spotify of all meditation and prayer out there, all that's already made and available. And there's tons. I have like 30 different apps on my phone. And so we're the first to market with the idea of, you know what, taking that content out there, we're not going to redo anything. We're going to have just AI, who, by the way, knows all history, all religion, all spirituality, that you can speak to it, and it can be a personal, like I said, concierge, a personal assistant, a friend that will always be there just for you, to elevate you, to help you ground yourself, to bring you back from maybe a heavy day, right? To then bringing you back to being focused, to going back to setting your intentions and being more productive at this highest level version of self, if that makes any sense. That's basically the foundation, but the bigger, wider, let's say, dream, or I think it's really more reality than dream, but my biggest goal is to have a platform where you're a strong tower, I'm a strong tower, different people are strong towers, right? To build strong towers, right? To build people that are the highest level versions of self, but also to give people an opportunity to build strong tower communities. You and your family and your friends can all pray together or meditate together with sound and frequency behind you, right? Not where it overpowers, your voice or what you're saying to your community, right? But to because I can tell you, I've experienced many, many, many times when people pray together or meditate together, amazing things happen, especially when you've got heart and soul into the prayer or meditation. I've experienced that from when I started my company, meditating 5 times a day, from having a six-figure salary annually. I manifested a six-figure salary monthly, right? And it was all through intention and believing, right, before it happens, and feeling. And that's really the essence of Connected, is to help people, maybe bring their dreams from out there, to bring them to here, to really make them a reality, right? To bring people together and to pray together, meditate together, give creators an idea or a platform to also create their own content that people can follow. And they can go back to, copy it back on their Facebooks or Instagrams or YouTubes. They can archive it there, but they have a platform where people will be connected to them everywhere they go, on the road, in their car, on the trail, right, in their home, connected to, the Alexas that are theirs, the Google Homes. In the future, we'll have our own outputs for people to listen to that will be safe, right? But this will be a conscious concierge that will follow you everywhere. And my bigger and broader dream is build strong towers, strong tower communities, but then to give a person, an influencer, a spiritualist, a guru, a religious leader, the platform to speak to all on the platform. And my whole vision, maybe call me a dreamer, is to have 1 billion people on this platform meditating or praying in synchronicity for one simple thing. Let's bring more happiness to this planet. Let's bring more health to this planet. You know what? Let's be brave. You know what? No more people dying of starvation, right? No more war. How amazing would that be if we come together as one? And that's the whole essence. We welcome all religions, all spirituality. We will not champion one. We will just champion being one. And this coming together as a community to really change our reality, if they want it. Some people don't. They're just stuck in the matrix. But if someone wants to create, reprogram, and start living their dream life, why not? Connected will be, I'm sure, one of the many other vehicles that are out there, but Connected will be a vehicle like that, where it will always, its number one goal is to help you always be at the highest level version of self, right?
How do you track it?
I'm sorry?
How do you track it? how do you see? I'm wondering, like, how do you think about outcomes? Because if this is meant to help people feel more grounded and focused, what are the first signals that you'd want to track to know that it's really helping them?
Well, absolutely. By people's stories. Also, we'll have biometrics that will be, again, sovereign, sacred to each user. They'll be able to track that they started here and that next week or next month they've gone here, right? By the input that they put into it, by the biometrics, by the APIs from all the smart devices that they wear, by the inflection, their tone, it will keep a record of your conversations, your meditations, your prayer the whole time. So in essence, you'll be able to keep everyone honest. Hey, I'm doing better, or you're staying flat, and then give you reasons of why you're staying flat. And of course, the reward of continuing to grow is in the whole essence of the platform, right? There's really no measurement of success like, wow, Sunny out there in 2 days or in 1 week or 1 month. This is a personal journey for everyone. It may take someone a couple of weeks. It may take someone a month or months. It may take someone a year or so. But it is there to guide you as you want to go, as you want to go to that next step and elevate. It's not going to be pushing you or pressuring you or giving you the analytics of other people. It's going to be giving, basically the input and output that you give it. It will be shared with you. You know what? Like I said, today, Fridays are usually really pretty good for you. What's going on, right? And then you'll speak to the AI, and the AI will then come back and say, you know what? Based on what I know about you, almost like a counselor, right? But again, working for you. And a good counselor will never tell you what to do. They'll always offer you options, right? And that will be the same thing as a conscious concierge saying, you know what, based upon what I kind of gathered, I believe you need, at this point, a meditation. Is that okay? Or a prayer. Is that
Well, So,
okay?
so, so, so I had a gentleman on my show last week, right? So he's built, I don't know if you've ever used Muse, right? Which is like this head band thing that like picks up the signals from your brain and it literally can capture whether you're in a meditative state. My wife has an aura ring. So I get those things. What signals are you specifically looking for to be able to tell me that I'm not having a good Friday, right? Like what if I was having a great Friday and because you asked me that, I'm not having a good Friday anymore?
Right, right. Yeah. So, yeah, no, and great question, right? This is going to be personalized to you. You may be a very melancholy kind of person or personality, right? And that will be some of the questions that, when you first set up your, conscious concierge, they'll ask you, not like pages and pages of questions, but I'll ask you some questions and I'll get to know you, right? So you may be a lot more calmer than me. I may be more intense, right? So my APIs would read different, right? From week to week, and then my conscious concierge would, possibly, well, more than likely, give me different, um, input and suggestions than they would someone that's, certainly. At a meditative state, or someone that is, usually calmer. So it's going to match, yourself and what I would call frequency, right? And I also ask you, what's your goals? And that's one of the important, critical questions from the very beginning that, Kai will remember and continue to build upon what you tell it and what, again, if you're wearing any kind of smart device, what input it gets. Now, for those that don't have smart devices, and some won't, then it will be able to measure your voice, your inflection, right? Um, those types of things, and what you tell it. It'll be solely dependent on that, right? It won't be making things up. It'll be, coming back from your goals that you set up in the very beginning, and maybe you set up week to week. Hey, we're aligned, going this direction. If that's still the case, right? And Kai would know to ask that based upon the information you give it, and the more it learns about you, right?
Got it. Hey, Leo, I want to ask you something. So, you've sat across Oh, there's a lot of echo. Sorry, essentially from thousands of leaders, right, at the top of their game. What patterns did you start to notice in the ones who were winning on paper, but essentially like running on empty underneath?
Yeah. No, absolutely. So I would say, and I've met some very wealthy people that, make that kind of dream money that people are like, oh my God, how people, make that kind of money, the hundreds of millions, right? Or the work maybe billions. And I can tell you the key ingredient, and students ask me this, certainly also, how can I align myself to being the most successful person, or, how can I get the best job? And what I would say is do what you love, right? Because that's what you're going to have. You have a small little time of going to school from elementary through college, getting all the degrees you want. Then you have a little bit larger time in working. And then for most people, then you have this small little leftover that people call retirement to enjoy maybe what you've done. And then people come to retirement going like, oh my God, I hated my work. I didn't like all that. So I'd say enjoy your ride. What you do is super important. But back to your question, the most successful executives, leaders that I've met on the planet, and I've filled positions in over 50 countries, 6 of the 7 continents. I've spoken to hundreds of thousands of people and placed thousands of people as well. And again, leadership seats. The most successful people that I've seen is someone like you, Sonny, that can speak to anyone at any level. Let's say you have all these zeros in your bank account, but then you call someone or you have a conversation with someone that necessarily doesn't have that. Maybe they don't have any zeros in their bank account, but they treat you human. They treat you at an equal to them. And I had one guy who you would only read about. Most people don't ever talk to him. He managed over 110,000 people, was the number one executive globally, was right up on Wall Street and all that. I was at JP Morgan, filling a very critical role. And I was just really reaching out to him to see if he could help me in his network. And the guy calls me within like 10 minutes of me, sending him an email. And he calls me, he goes, Leo, I don't have an appointment with you. I know, I'm just calling. Is this okay? I was like, Harry, are you kidding? I read 10 pages of Google on you. You're an amazing person. I'll always make time for you. But it was so humbling. And at the end of the call, we went from business then to personal. Started talking about he's from Chicago. He was in London then, managing a big enterprise for a huge bank. And we started talking about pizza and how he loves and misses that Chicago pizza. He's from Chicago. And then he goes on to saying, yeah, you know what? I got a couple of board offers. What do you think? Michelle Obama's asking me to be on this board for this, and I was like, are you kidding? I think that would be amazing. So he was asking me for advice, right? This guy that's just an amazing person, but he made me feel so human and so real, where all the tension was dropped. And at the very end of the call, I never met Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan, but he goes, hey, by the way, next time you see Jamie, say hi to him. And I was like, okay, bro. I worked with some of Jamie's directs, really high, bank leaders, but I never had the privilege of meeting Jamie. But, here he was and speaking to me because he knows Jamie. And he talked about, working with Jamie and doing some things with him, in the community. And it was just so humbling. So I can tell you the number one ingredient for any leader out there or any person that wants to be someone is to treat people, all people, humanly at your level, right? And I was so humbled by that, and I still remember it. It's 10 years ago, right? It was just an amazing experience and conversation, and I thought, wow, I want to be like him, right?
So there's a version of you from a few years ago who was kind of like the grinder, right? Like working really, really hard. If the two of you sat across the table today, what would the old Lionel, refuse to believe about the new one?
Yeah, it's like you're not supposed to be there, bro. You're supposed to be in the box. You're supposed to be limited versus unlimited. Wow, is this really me? And I would be, certainly proud of me, but also at the same time, I was so risk averse all my life. You have to do X to get X. You have to do Y to get, the outcome that you want. I was so much in the matrix and following the program that I only dream sometimes of doing more, right? So what I would say, from years ago to now, the sleeping giant that was always asleep has now awoken and is awake and is thriving and is loving every bit of his life.
So when did this stop being like a private practice for you and become something you knew you had to build into a product for other people?
Yeah, like I said, about 30 weeks ago, when I was on a plane and I was thinking of my highs and lows. On a plane, you can hardly ever get me to talk, right? I usually have my headphones on, I'm listening to a podcast, uh, reading, have my computer up. And this lady sat next to me and she asked me a question, and I had to take, so excuse me, and I took my headphones off. I don't want to be rude, but I thought the conversation would be over. And then she asked me another question, and then why I was going to where I was going, and then I asked her, of course, being courteous, why are you going where you're going? And she told me she was going to a Buddhist, a spiritual retreat. And I thought, wow, that's intriguing. That's cool. I'm into kind of Eastern philosophy. And then that led to, more, kind of dialogue. And then it's almost like all of a sudden, in thinking of my highs and lows right below then, and thinking of how I was able to achieve what I was able to achieve, what was kind of the ingredient in that, it's almost like I got Tourette's, and I started kind of just this idea that was in me somewhere just came out, connected. And I said, hey, how about if you could have something, like a conscious concierge, and it just came out of my mouth. I was like, what did I just say? That was always serving you, aligning you, helping you, aiding you, guiding you to be at the highest level version of self, right? And catering to you, not anyone else. And she was like, as I was kind of amazed that it came out of my mouth, and she was like, Leo, that would be an amazing idea. I need that right now. And then I looked at my brother, who's my attorney, and I go, hey, I got an idea, and the word connected, came out of my mouth, right? And, he's an IP attorney, trademark and patent. He goes, you can't trademark a common name. And I go, okay, all right. Almost like leave me alone. He was doing his stuff. And then I went back to Google. I looked for Hebrew. I looked for different words of connected and came up with a phonetic of connected. And I thought, ooh, that's not a common word. And I looked at him. I go, hey, how about this one? He goes, yeah, you can do that one. Leave me alone. I said, on Monday, I want you to trademark that. And he did. And so then Connected was born. And then for the next 48 hours, I had this download. I couldn't sleep 48 hours of a business plan for Connected and the ecosystem that it would involve, and actually being a conscious concierge for people that are religious, being able to pray, for people that are spiritual, to being able to meditate, for creators that want to create their own content, be able to do that. Another lane would be for people that want to learn about Buddhism or Catholicism or Hinduism or being a Muslim or being a Jew, Judaism, being able to then learn about that. That's called communicate. And then participate for those that want to just give back and be connected and giving money to right, places, or to know what the Jewish calendar's like, or the Muslim calendar's like, or the Buddhist calendar, things to celebrate year round. And then one that was very, very different, we have nothing like it right now, is just a whole channel of frequency and music to elevate you, called Elevate, right? And then our last lane, that's the sixth lane, and our last lane will be then Motivate, and that's for the Tony Robbins people out there that want to put their own content for people, to be motivated on a daily basis. And again, content that's created from creators, right, will then be extracted to what's right for you, right? Maybe you don't want to listen to a 30-minute or a 40-minute, maybe, your kind of sweet spot, and the AI will help you is, you're better and more aligned when you do a 3 minute kind of meditation, or maybe it's a 1 minute meditation of listening to something to kind of pump you up to get to that 1 minute, mark of, and maybe it's prayer, right? So, and again, all this is driven by a conscious concierge called Kai, right? And so Kai will help you certainly determine what's best for you, which again may not be best for me, it may not be best for your neighbor, but it's something just aligned to you to serve you, if that makes any sense.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I mean that a lot of the ideas make sense. So, Leo, where do people learn more about this? Where do people learn more about you? Help me land the plane.
Yeah, yeah. So absolutely. So I'm on LinkedIn, Leonel, Leonel, DeLeon, Deleon, at Strong Power Partners. That's my main company. Um, Connected is up, KENEKTED.ai. Right? That gives you kind of an essence of what we're building, and we're actually working on, and we're close to building the MVP. And most people in the tech world understand what that is. It's a minimum viable product, so it's basically an app, a product that you can say, "Oh, wow!" They get a good look and feel of what it is before we then build it to be able to scale globally. Right? So we're working on that, and once we have that, which we should have ready in the next month and a half, we'll be then pitching to an investor to help us build a enterprise to have up to 1 billion people or more on the platform. And so we're excited, and so you can find us on connected.ai. There is a couple of lanes up of connected AI. Pray, PR8y.cloud. So if people want to join right now and with their families, and they maybe just want to pray together, they can do that. And then there's meditate, MEDIT, number 8, TE.cloud. And the 8s are intentional. It's in the whole platform. It means forever, right? Infinity. So instead of the A, we put in an 8. But you can pray right now with your family if you want to, and you can meditate with your family right now if you want to. It doesn't have sound and frequency yet, because we're certainly building that. And then, if you want to find out more about the companies that, my dream board of the other companies that I'm going to build, you can go to strongtowers.com and take a look at the kind of companies and what we want to do. It's my life journey. It's another 10 companies that I at this point want to build. I wouldn't be surprised if we add a couple more to that, but I'm a serial entrepreneur, blessed to be doing it. The whole intent of what I do is just to bless people, to elevate people, to help people, to serve people. And I appreciate you having me on your show, son.
Awesome. Thank you, Leo. Yeah, we have quite a few people watching. Thank you all for tuning in. Until next time, Leo, hang back for 1 second. I'm going to bring this stream to an end.